She slipped out of bed at 3:17 a.m., barefoot, holding her breath like it was the last one she'd ever take. One duffel bag, one sleeping 4-year-old on her hip, and a heart that hadn't stopped racing for 2 years. She thought no one would notice. Then, from the dark kitchen, she heard the tiny voice of her daughter whisper, "Mommy, why is that man staring at my chicken nuggets?" She froze. Because the man sitting at their table, eating off their plates in the middle of the night, was supposed to be asleep upstairs. And he was looking straight at the little girl with eyes that said the game just changed. The house was too quiet for a place that had screamed so loud for so long. Elena Ramirez moved like a ghost down the hallway, the old wooden boards knowing exactly where not to creak because she had memorized every trader plank over the last 23 months. In her arms, Sophia weighed nothing and everything, 4 years old, curls smelling of baby shampoo and the faint metallic trace of fear that never quite washed out. Elena's lips brushed her daughter's temple. "We're going on an adventure, Mija. Just you and me." Sophia didn't stir. Good. The Benadryl crushed into the chocolate milk had done its job. One duffel bag by the door. Inside, 3 outfits each, birth certificates, the flash drive with the photos of the bruises shaped like his fingerprints, and $12,400 in 20s she had skimmed from the grocery money over 14 months. It wasn't much, but it was enough to disappear if you were willing to sleep in the car and never use a credit card again. She reached the kitchen, the heart of the escape route. Back door just 10 steps away. Moonlight spilled through the window over the sink, silvering the plates still in the drying rack from dinner. Elena shifted Sophia higher on her hip and took the first silent step, then she heard it, the soft scrape of a fork against ceramic. Her blood turned to ice. Someone was sitting at the kitchen table in the dark. The silhouette was unmistakable, broad shoulders, the slope of a neck she used to trace with her lips in a different lifetime. Caleb. Her husband. The man who smiled for the neighbors and broke her ribs for burning the rice that he was eating, slowly. Deliberately. A single overhead bulb flicked on. Harsh light flooded the room. He didn't look up at first, just speared another chicken nugget, Sophia's leftover dinosaur-shaped nuggets, and dipped it in ketchup like this was any other Tuesday night. "Going somewhere, Lena?" His voice was soft, almost tender. That was always worse than the yelling. Elena's arms tightened around Sophia tighter. The little girl finally stirred, blinked, and turned her head toward the table. "Mommy," Sophia whispered, confused, pointing with a chubby finger, "why is Daddy eating my nuggies?" Caleb finally raised his eyes. They weren't angry. They were amused. And they weren't looking at Elena. He was staring at Sophia like she was the only person in the room. "That's right, baby girl," he said, smiling with all his teeth. "Daddy's hungry. And you know the rule, nobody leaves this house until the plate is clean." The duffel bag slipped from Elena's fingers and hit the tile with a dull thud. The real nightmare wasn't that he had woken up. It was that he had been waiting. Flashbacks to the first time he hit her, the slow realization that every door and window now has a new lock she didn't buy, the moment he stands up with the fork still in his hand, and the first time Sophia ever says, "I don't like when Daddy looks at me like that." The clock on the microwave read 3:33 a.m. Elena's legs had gone numb from standing in the same spot, Sophia's weight cutting off circulation, but she didn't dare move. Caleb sat back in the chair, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, and sighed like a man satisfied after Thanksgiving dinner. "You lost weight, Lena," he said conversationally. "Stress'll do that. Or maybe you've been too busy planning your little vacation to eat." He gestured to the duffel bag on the floor. 12 grand. Cute. You think that's enough to hide from me? Elena's throat was desert dry. "Let us go, Caleb. You don't want us." You never did. His laugh was soft. That's where you're wrong. I want her. He nodded toward Sophia, who had buried her face in Elena's neck. She's the best parts of us. I'm not letting you poison that. Sophia peeked out. Daddy, I'm sleepy. I know, princess, he crooned. Mommy's being silly. She thinks we don't need her anymore. But Daddy fixed everything. See? He reached under the table and pulled out a small pink suitcase, Sophia's own frozen bag that had been in the closet for months. He unzipped it. Inside, Sophia's favorite toys, her blanket, a stack of new coloring books, and on top, a single sheet of paper. A custody agreement. Unsigned. With only his signature at the bottom. And a post-it note in his handwriting, sign or disappear. Elena felt the world tilt. Over the next 5,000 words, Elena is forced to sit at the table while he explains how he's been recording her for months, how he has doctors ready to testify she's unstable, how the new locks are smart and answer only to his phone, how the car has a tracker, the money has dye packs he can activate remotely, and how Sophia, sweet, trusting Sophia, has started calling him my hero at preschool because he picked her up early the days Elena thought she was safe at work. The tension peaks when he places a new plate in front of Sophia, more nuggets, fresh from the oven he must have turned on hours ago, and says, "Eat with Daddy, baby. Show Mommy we're a family." Sophia looks at Elena with huge, uncertain eyes, and Elena realizes the only way out might be to do the one thing she swore she never would, gamble everything on the tiny hope that her daughter is braver than both of them. The chapter ends with Sophia picking up a single nugget, staring at her father, and saying in the smallest voice, "I want Mommy to sit next to me." Caleb's smile freezes, because for the first time in years, someone in that house just said no to him without raising their voice, and Elena sees the crack. If you want to know whether a 4-year-old's whisper can bring a monster to his knees, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications.